Hello and welcome. This message is something that I thought I would talk about in the last message I recorded, and I will link that if you've not seen it. But I got a very strong feeling like that message was done and needed to sit as it was, and that this one might pertain to a different group of people or might need to be listened to at a different time. So I'm hopping on to record it while the other one is processing, because it's taking a while, because the mechanics of this stuff is, I don't want to say more than I bargained for, but not straightforward all the time. Things take longer. I underestimate, I get a thought, I get a message, I get something channeled, I know it needs to be shared, and I think it's going to be a quick recording and I can get it up in 20-30 minutes all said and done, and it's taking longer. So that particular feeling, analogy, whatever, example might pertain to some of you. That might be a way to self-select into this message if you've been overestimating either how much time or effort or energy or resourcing something is taking, and you keep being surprised by it even though you're doing the same thing. Like, that's part of it, is I'm still surprised. I'm like, oh, this is going to take 10 minutes to process. So I think that's part of this. So this could be your message for that. But I alluded to this at the end of the last reading. So if you heard that bit and were curious or felt called to be here, the words I used, I think I just said, I don't even remember. I think I just said there's some Goldilocks energy going on, or Goldilocks vibes. And I said, if that's interesting to you or that resonates, come see what this one's about. So it's Goldilocks, kind of. So when I was channeling this particular part of the message, or this message, Goldilocks did not come through first. What I saw was somebody in a kitchen putting away leftovers, and they're looking at the leftovers and they're looking at the cabinet or the drawer or whatever area. They have all of their food containers and their Tupperware. And I'm seeing this person continuously picking the wrong size container. Like, it's just this continuous, it almost becomes a joke that this is just something you cannot estimate. So you either grab a container that is too big and you take out, a big container just to be safe, and there's all this room left. And then the next day you kind of need that container, but it's been taken up. So, it kind of derails the rest of your leftover management, if you will. And then on the other side, you try to put away leftovers in a container that is too small. And you look at it and you're like, that might be too small, but it might be perfect. And you put it in, and like, it's kind of obviously too small. Like, there's quite a bit, that won't fit. It's too much to just, you kind of think through your options. Like, I guess I could just take a bite of this, but it's more than a bite. You don't want to waste food. So you get a bigger container, you put it in the larger container, and now you've got two dirty containers, and like, you really didn't want that. So it's like you're trying to optimize, but you can't quite see what you're optimizing for. And Spirit's really asking you to consider what could happen if you do stop trying to optimize and just be, and not worry about the size of the container, and be okay with your leftovers being in two containers, because you might dirty one anyway, and just being okay with not getting it right, because in the grand scheme of things, an extra dirty dish or too big of a container, it really, the outcome is the same. You have your leftovers in the fridge, and if it took a little bit more friction to get there, yes, it could be frustrating, but like, that's okay. And so Spirit is just asking you to like try to not optimize and be okay with not being good at that. And then I'm seeing this continues. One day you're going to do something that feels risky. You're going to pick a container that feels like it could be just too small, but something in you is telling you that it's just right. And in the past, you would have gotten the larger container, but today you're like, I'm going to just do it. I don't care if it's optimized. If I need to split this into two containers, I will, but this one feels right, and it will be just right. And so this could be very literal. Someone here might not be very good at estimating sizes or amounts of things. You might be the type of person that always needs a recipe, even though you wish you could be somebody that cooks on the fly. You're just not. You think you're doing the same thing every time, but because you're not visiting the recipe, you just can't remember. Or this particular example of dirtying unnecessary Tupperware, or having, 2 bites of rice in a 4-quart container. Like, that might resonate really literally. But for others, the message is really about trying on different costumes, different roles. And this is where the Goldilocks vibes or Goldilocks energy comes in. It's asking you that in order to know what just right is, in order to know what the right size is, the right fit, the right whatever, you are going to need to try on the things that are too small or too big or too hot or too cold. And you'll know that they're too small or too big or too hot or too cold when you try them or do them or whatever. But for the time being, you're not going to know what too small or too big is until you have those experiences. And going through the too small, too big, whatever, too hot, too cold, too lumpy, too soft, those experiences are what is going to help you figure out what just right looks like. Because there is a world where you get the just right thing first and you won't know it's right because you haven't had the other experiences to know what not right is. And so Spirit is being very deliberate in saying you need to go through these things. You need to go through the Goldilocks of it all to then know what right feels like. And this is not something that you are going to need to do forever. After enough practice, after enough time, after enough to this, to that, you will be able to discern what just right is. You will be able to always pick the right Tupperware. Maybe not literally. Some of you might always be bad at estimating. Like, this isn't actually saying if that resonated literally, be okay with that not ever changing. But after enough practice, you'll be able to discern what's right because you will have the ability. It's like you're getting a new skill, you're getting a new ability. You're going to have the ability to think through the different options or know what feels right in your heart or in your body or in your soul or whatever, your gut, wherever you feel these things. You're going to be able to say, I know this is right because I know that option B would be to this and option C would be to that. I'm seeing this image of someone having to try on jeans and you're at like it's a new brand. And if you wear jeans, you may be aware of the fact that they all fit differently and sizing is not the same across the board. And so you take 4 sizes of like the same pair of jeans into the dressing room with you just to try it on. And you try on one that you think is too tight or too big, but then the others make it seem like, oh, actually that was the right one. And so there'll be a point where I think before, right between the Goldilocks, this is to that, this is to that. Okay, here's my just right. And before just knowing what's just right immediately, there's going to be a moment where you can see this happening in action, where you're going to put something on first, think one thing about it, and then the experience of the others, of the other jean sizes, is going to help you say, oh, you know what? I understand now. This is right for me. And it's like having those experiences, it's what's going to make you be able to think through other options in the future. So next time you go to the store, you'll be like, I know this pair of jeans fits because I just know I don't need to experience the other ones. You'll try it on and be like, that's it. Like I in my body, I can see that these fit. I don't need to get confirmation from the other sizes. That feels like the core of this message. I am being asked to state that a little bit more clearly because I did go off a little bit. I'm seeing 3 phases. The first phase is, we're going to stick with the dressing room analogy because it seems to fit. The first stage is you're in a dressing room with 3 pairs of pants. One is obviously too small, one is obviously too big, And so therefore you're like, well, this one must be just right. And you try it on and it is just right, but it's more of this process of elimination. Phase 1 is you making decisions based off of this process of elimination, and it's based off of your experiences. Then I'm seeing phase 2, where the knowing is starting to develop. The knowing is starting to develop. You put on a pair of pants, you say, these feel right, but I think they might be too big. Let me try the smaller size. Or I think they might be too small. Let me try the bigger size. And you would be happy walking away from the store with those pants on, but you just want to make sure there's not something better out there, right? And you try the other pants on and you confirm that you knew that the first ones were right. You felt it, you could see it, but you just needed the confirmation from trying something else on. And that's like phase 2, where you know, but you need to confirm. You're looking for confirmation. And then phase 3 is you bring one pair of pants into the dressing room with you and you try them on and they fit. And you say, great, these are my pants. I'm going to buy them. I don't need to try the other ones on. I don't need to compare because I like how this fits. And so it does not matter how the other ones fit. Also, a part of phase 3 is bringing one pair of pants into the dressing room and trying them on, being like, these are too big. I need another size. And I know that these are too big because I know what too big feels like. And so that is sort of the journey of your discernment, right? It's needing to be shown alternate solutions and then needing to confirm your hypothesis is phase 2. And then phase 3 is just knowing and trusting your discernment and being able to trust that you know the right thing to do. And so I am hearing that if you're listening to this, you could be at any part of this journey, but trust that the things that are too hot, too cold, too whatever are here for a reason. And if you can tune in and understand why they are too hot and too cold and too whatever, that will help you move through these phases. And trust, yeah, it's about trusting yourself. And all along, you know what the right answer is, right? Even if it's too hot, it's too cold, it's just right, you'll always know what that just right is. It's always within you, so you can graduate is the word I'm hearing at any time. But you have to be ready for that. You have to be ready to not have the other options in front of you, to not have the other pants sizes in the room with you. You have to be ready to trust the container you pick out of the cabinet. So yeah, I think that's the message. Shorter than the last. Again, it was originally supposed to be part of it, but it does feel like it's either for a different part of the collective, or if not, it's just pertaining to a slightly different area and isn't attached to some of the other messaging that came through in the last one. So it wanted to stand on its own. And I think it deserved to stand on its own. I think that's important, right? We've talked a lot about discernment and trusting, and that makes me think that you are going to be able to show that you do in fact trust your discernment with a decision that's coming at some point. That felt important to say too. Okay, that is the message. Thank you so much for being here. I will see you next time.